CSTEP, as an Indian think tank in the areas of energy and climate, works on developing solutions to many of the problems we face as a nation. Air pollution is a significant area of work, and we are supporting the National Clean Air Program as an institute of repute. We are working with a number of urban jurisdictions for creating clean air action plans. Other broad areas of work include climate mitigation and climate adaptation, where we develop roadmaps for clean energy transition and perform risk assessments for concrete, on-the-ground strategies for adapting to a changing climate. In essence, we are working towards assuring a decent quality of life to all our citizens.
As perhaps most of you may well know, India will need to play a very vital role in the global challenge to meet the climate risk. Just to give you a perspective, over the next 40, 50 years, the overall carbon budget the world has around 500 billion tons. If India were to proceed as business as usual, it would consume around 400, 500 billion tons of carbon space by 2050 or 2060. So we really need to do something. Now, the challenge is that to get it down to 120 billion tons, which would essentially imply that we will need to really take aggressive strategies to cut our GHG emissions, would require enormous financing. So what CSTEP is doing is the follows. The first, we are drawing up long-term scenarios, the projections of how the economy will evolve, what sectors which will grow, how, and then sharing this information with the government and the policymakers to help them devise strategies. We are also preparing what's called the near-term goals, which are right now encapsulated in our NDC, the near-term 2030 goals, to see what we can do quicker in the near term, in the next 10, 15 years, to cut down our projected GHG emissions. So that's the first two of our major work. Now, to achieve these, we'll have to do something more specific. And we're working on specific areas also. One, we are looking at sectoral interventions, sectors which will contribute to large emissions of GHG. For example, transportation, certain industrial sectors, and power. And we're trying to figure out strategies to decarbonize those individual sectors. Third, what we're trying to do is also identify technology, individual technologies, for instance, hydrogen, carbon capture, etc., how they will evolve, what kind of policy interventions are needed to help country decarbonize. Fourth, we're going to work on climate finance issues. Fundamentally, there are various numbers, very large numbers are being thrown across in the world, running into trillions of dollars. We estimate that India might need up to $14 trillion for the next 40, 50 years to decarbonize. So we're working on ideas to figure out what will be the financing needs, how various multilateral organizations and countries can come together to raise climate finance. So basically, our work will be spread around these 4 or 5 verticals to address our climate mitigations needs.
Adaptation requires an understanding of the changes in climate in the past and also in the future through climate modeling and assessment of current vulnerability of systems, regions, and communities. We at CSTEP are generating climate information and vulnerability profiles at a district level to help governments incorporate this information in state action plans on climate change and formulate adaptation strategies. At a sectoral level, we have assessed the risk of climate change to rain-fed agriculture crops and power infrastructure segments for the state of Karnataka. CSTEP also conducts awareness and capacity building programs for incorporating climate and vulnerability related information in planning and implementation. We also ran a series of vulnerability assessment training programs for government officials recently in collaboration with the Indian government's Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change.